What's the craziest butterfly effect that happened to you because of a small decision you made? I had to call my heart surgeon to give him my new insurance. I had only just gotten them because the person who had them had the flu and was not getting back to me. As soon as I got my numbers, I called surgeon. The receptionist said, "Oh, hey, we just had a cancellation for this Friday. Do you want it?" Of course I wanted to get it over and not wait another month. Decided to take the open heart surgery cancellation appointment a month before my actual appointment, and well, surgeon said that thank goodness I did, because once he got a look inside, he realized I would not have survived to the original appointment date. So, if the insurance lady didn't have the flu, I would have gotten those numbers a lot sooner and never gotten the offer to have the surgery when I did. Someone else's flu saved my life. Row. 14 years post-op. I had a brand new aorta that will last a lifetime and a aortic bovine valve. It's due to run out soon, but I still feel good. The story that describes the discovery of needing surgery is even more bizarre. I did not have symptoms, and I was running 3 miles a day, 30 years old, 2 healthy child labors. If my youngest made it to full term, he would have been too big and the aorta would have burst. Clean eater. A long strange trip. When I was in 8th grade, 13 years old, I had a really long bus ride home so would pass the time by reading. One day I faced the very serious situation of nothing to read and a minute to grab something in the library, and for whatever reason I grabbed a book on astronomy. That book was amazing and grabbed me like nothing else had before. I remember being excited to realize every astronomer on Earth was 13 years old once too. And that was a career you could actually do, even if you were from Pittsburgh. Anyway, today I am a professional astronomer who studies gigantic space explosions for a living. There was a lot of work to get from that moment to this one, but I'm always grateful that I picked up that library book. Right on. What major did you do in college? Major. CHH. My husband. He found out after 18 years that his mom's side of the family was Spanish, not Mexican. He found this interesting and changed his country to Spain on MySpace instead of the US where he really was. Meanwhile in Australia, I was helping my friend find Spanish people to add as a friend as she was learning the language. I came across my now husband and decided to send him a friend request as well. We got along really well and met in person after 3 years. Have been together 11 years. Married for 7. If he didn't change his country to Spain, and only for a day or so, we'd never know each other existed. This one is the best I've read so far. Every decision you have made and will ever make has eventually led to you reading this sentence. If you ever become rich and successful, remember to thank this sentence. Cheers bro, I'll drink to that. My spouse. This one's the best so far. Now, I'm going to change my country to Spain on MySpace. Made a last minute decision to go to a friend's divorce party and met my wife. Different people, right? Yeah, the divorced person was a mutual friend. This adheres to the 3rd law of marriages. For every divorce, there is an equal and opposite marriage. And a consequence of the 1st law of marriages. A marriage at rest stays at rest and a marriage in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside divorce. Divorce. My existence. When my dad was about 20, he needed a phone number so he called the operator from a payphone. She gave him the number. He hung up and she accidentally refunded the money back to the payphone. She called the payphone back and asked him if he could put the money back in, which he did and hung up again. She accidentally refunded the money again and had to call back again to ask him to put the money back in. He did and hung up again. She was so flustered, she refunded the money again and called back again and my father got to chatting with her and got her number. They set up a date, which she stood him up for, then she forgot his name when he called her again, then they actually got coffee and 4 years later were married. This coming August it'll be 50 years for them. If my dad didn't need that phone number, I wouldn't be here. Mayo, I felt bad for her just reading that first part. My heart wouldn't take the stress. My desire for pizza set off a chain reaction that destroyed my family. One day got home from school and really wanted pizza. Family was pool, so spontaneous food trips weren't always in the cards. Really worked my pouty face to my mum and begged to go to the local pizza place for dinner. She said alright. While chilling there I saw my uncle walk by, and I was like, the frick, Uncle X, is that you? Now you might say, well, he wanted pizza, what's the big deal? Well, he lives several states away, so to arbitrarily be in town and not tell anyone was strange. Turned out he was having an affair with his sister-in-law, my aunt on the other side of the family. She was basically a money-grubbing whore and the family protested. One thing led to another and everyone hates each other now, and we haven't had contact in like 20 years. I just wanted some pizza, sad face. And how was the pizza? Oh man, it was glorious. It's a local chain to my area that makes the sauce really sweet, so visitors typically aren't a fan. It's a flavor you can only get there, and man, when you crave it, you crave it. They got good cheese sticks too. The first day I ever signed up for internet back in 1999, I installed Merc because it was on the starter disk my ISP gave me, and joined the random chat room. Over the course of the next year, the regulars in that room became like family to me. We would talk about everything. All that practice made me a fast typist and way better communicator than I was before that. They would even help me when I had trouble understanding something in my college classes. I also met my husband in that room, and we've been happily married for 18 years. Others from our little like family are married, too, and we still keep in touch. All because I randomly chose that chat room that day. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Soren Kierkegaard. After all that, did you at least register your copy? Nope. Story checks out. At a university career fair and just has a long day taking to companies and heading out when I see a Honda booth. Designing cars would be awesome, but there is a huge line. It has been a long day, and what are the chances? But wait. They are giving away hats and shirts and model cars. So I talk to them. A day later I get a call back for an online assessment. I fill that out and don't hear anything back for a month or so. I get a call one night saying I was an alternate and someone cancelled last minute, so they want to fly me up for on-site interviews. I go and end up getting and accepting an offer. After graduation I move about 1,000 miles away from home for my new job, where a few years after I meet my now wife and we have 2 kids. I never would have crossed paths with her otherwise. So the entire course of my life was shifted because Honda gave away good swag at their career fair booth. I went to a career fair one day as I wanted to get a job in the IT field. I was in school, in this thread tech, I know, for computer networking. Saw the stand for a gas station chain and thought to myself, I don't want to work at a gas station, and kept on going. Passed out my resume and had a good talk with a local company that a few of my classmates worked. Was about to leave and pass the gas station stand again, but this time I saw IT on their poster. Decided to just see what the IT was about and dropped off my resume. Talked with the recruiter and was told about a department that needed an intern. I got an interview for a position and it was more of a this is what you will be doing and this is what it pays. When can you start? 13 years later I'm still working for a gas station chain and really enjoying it. My wife got an email from her old colleagues the day we returned home from our honeymoon, asking if she wanted to star in a short film they were doing for fun. She said sure, and asked if I could come along, as she knew I had an interest in movies. But at the time I worked in life insurance and was miserable. It was more than an interest. I had always wanted to make films, but never made the right connections with people and didn't know where to start. I made friends with the producer of that short film my wife was in, and 11 years later filmmaking and video production is my career. I've shot feature films, short films, video for TV and web, and all over the world because of that one email to my wife. Changed our lives. Oh, and that original short film never got finished, lol. I definitely thought this was gonna be about peen. Could be. Are any of your short films available? I'd like to watch some of them. Backdoor Lots 9. Backdoor Lots 9 makes Crotch Capers 3 look like naughty nurses too. I chose to rearrange the sequence of classes slightly before starting my education. By doing this, I had to commute to a different branch of the school in a different town than the one I was originally signed up for. On my first day there, I helped a girl who had managed to break both of her arms in a drunken shopping cart accident. I learned later, this girl, whom I would absolutely never have met had I not changed my classes around, is my wife through 14 years. Managed to break both of her arms in a drunken shopping cart accident. That's gotta be a story in and of itself. The other day I was driving home from work. Traffic was light and I was behind a car with a number plate that started KFD. Decided to duck through KFC drive-thru for chippies with extra salt as a little treat to myself. They took forever to bring them out, and by the time they finally did, all told about 10 minutes later, traffic has slowed to a complete halt. I need to get over a bridge that's normally 6 lanes which has now been reduced to 1. Turns out it's due to a massive collision involving several cars. When I finally get to the point where I'm driving past, I notice the number plate on one of the cars. That same KFD number plate. If I hadn't stopped to get hot chips, I'm fairly sure I'd have been in a major collision. Kentucky Final Destination. Colonel Sanders' plan of world domination. Just the other day I was driving home from work with the intention of stopping at the mall near my house, because I was craving a burger. I also remembered I needed to go to the store to pick up an order for my girlfriend, but it was in the complete opposite direction. I made the decision to pick up the order for her instead and then head home. Not even 10 minutes after that decision I get a message from my friend that there is an active shooter at that mall and it was being evacuated, surrounded by police. If it wasn't for my girlfriend's order I would have been in the mall at the time of the shooter. My uncle was late for a meeting in the Pentagon on 9/11. He should have been in the wing that got hit.